home. PettyLaBelle, ready to slay, throw cares away. Becky is here, stealing the cheer from young and old, meek and the bold. That is her song, still stuttering, stay muttering. Children will run if she comes near, screams and despair filling the air. Run, on she sends, on without end, snatch joyful tones from every home. Run.
Give me a P, give me a E, give me a T, T, Y. I'm petty all the time.
Yo YouTube, what is up? Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of PettyLaBelle. I had to switch up the topic this week, you guys, because a few things were brought to my attention that I couldn't not address. This week's episode is dedicated to all the people out there that told you that you couldn't do something, or that you weren't good enough, or tried to tear you down in all of the other ways that bullies do. Have you ever felt afraid to go after what you really want in life? For fear that your success will ignite jealousy and retaliation from others as opposed to congratulations? Have you ever been threatened or held hostage by someone that is guilt-tripping you into not taking that big step forward in your life or your career? Then you may be dealing with someone with narcissistic, paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar, borderline personality disorder. I read it on WebMD, so it's gotta be true. Anyone that has to tear others down in order to lift themselves up has a serious problem. This kind of behavior is completely curable, but most sufferers go a lifetime with this affliction. One of the many symptoms of this terrible disease is a refusal to admit that they are at all at fault or to blame for all of their irrational, erratic, and oftentimes abusive and harassing behavior toward others. They often look at anyone that stands up to them as a betrayer or a backstabber because they have this deep-seated belief that everyone and everything in the entire world revolves around them. Beware of the wrath of these people. They have been known to start passive-aggressive hashtag wars on Instagram to get back at you. So listen up, YouTube. This actually might be one of the most important videos that I ever do in the PettyLaBelle segment, so make sure that you're paying attention. This is all about the #1 rule in life: slay or be slayed. Can I get a definition? To slay. To slay means that you are winning at life, living your best life, and refusing to be torn down by all the haters that want you to fail. Slay. I'm always ready to slay, and you should be too. Don't ever let anybody trick you into thinking that your dreams and your passions aren't worth the fight. Don't spend your whole life building someone else's dream when you can build your own. And definitely don't allow someone to take away your power by using fear-based tactics to keep your petty in a corner. I'm still keeping it cute, and I'm not spilling all the tea or naming names or anything like that. Hopefully some of you can use this information to help you get out of a rut that you may be in at your job or with a really toxic relationship that you can't seem to shake. I worked for this company that I absolutely loved, but then things took a turn for the worse when I discovered the dark side of my employer. And I actually really liked them at first. I thought they were cool. By the time I realized this person was actually completely unhinged, it was too late, and things had already spiraled into the depths of hell. All of the horrible experiences that I had at this company are actually what bred fruit to the Becky character on PettyLaBelle. Becky is definitely more than one person though. She embodies the type of tried-it person that we all know. They could be bosses, acquaintances, even people closest to us. The ones that love you until they don't. Lie, lie, lie. Berate you, then praise you. And play mad psychological games that make you dive headfirst into an existential conundrum of angst. If any of you have ever experienced gaslighting, you'll know firsthand how traumatizing that can be. And yet, the people that tend to exhibit these behaviors are more often than not people in positions of power over us. And even though you may intellectually know right from wrong, it's still almost impossible not to fall prey to these forms of manipulation. Time for a petty history lesson. I have been performing professionally both as a musical theater actor and a recording artist for a few years now. There have been so many people that have tried to stop me in this life or tell me that I wasn't good enough or tell me that I was bad. That's when I really had to learn how to pettywap, because people will walk all over you. Pettywapping is so important. and you've got to believe that you really can win. My mom was incredibly abusive. She gave me my first fist-to-face bloody nose when I was 8 years old. She told me to kill myself when I was 10 because I was the worst thing that could have ever happened to her. I don't hate her, but it is true that it's been about 10 years since I've seen or spoken to her, and I don't intend on mending that rift anytime soon. I ended up in foster care when I was a teenager after a particularly violent eruption at home. I actually really liked living with the family that I got to stay with. Unfortunately, a few weeks into my placement in foster care, my foster dad snuck into my room and raped me repeatedly for hours. He convinced me that I would end up living on the street if I told anyone, so I didn't. I did end up confiding in my best friend at the time, who I guess luckily wasn't that great at keeping secrets. Everyone ended up finding out and the police got involved, and I ended up being moved into this like halfway house type place. It was a homeless shelter for teens, and I gotta say it wasn't my favorite place to be. So I ended up becoming a runaway and crashing on friends' couches and just kind of waiting until I aged out of the system. Somehow, by the grace of God, my social workers and a bunch of other amazing people managed to finagle me a one-way ticket to New York City to attend my dream school, and I haven't looked back since. Now that was a mad condensed version of the story, but I had to give you some background just so that you could understand this next part. I've always been passionate about teaching and inspiring kids through music and the performing arts. Learning how to rock the stage is what helped me to rediscover my own voice after it was silenced from years of abuse. So whether I'm snatching Grammys or working a day job just to get by, I will always be part of that community of teaching artists. Now, in PettyLaBelle episodes 1 and 2, I kind of gave you guys the gist of why it is that I left my last position. All of those things were based on real things that happened. The email that I read in the last episode was a real email that my boss sent to the black people. When they were starting a hip-hop program, they said it didn't even matter whether you had any experience or training in hip-hop. As long as you were black, the white parents would be happy to see you in the classroom. I actually am embarrassed that I worked for this company for as long as I did, but I fell in love with the kids and tried to look the other way. I finally said enough is enough. I left gracefully, but I left also knowing that I didn't owe them anything. So recently, with a few of my closest friends, I did a soft launch of a brand new company for kids. It's been awesome. I'm so excited to get to see some of my students again, and I'm so excited to be back teaching. But I've been getting nothing but phone calls since we launched. I've been hearing that Becky has been telling people that I stabbed her in the back. How dare you start a company? No one else is allowed to teach dance and theater in New York. I'm the only one. Yes, Becky is livid that I dared go against her and her maniacal ways. I'm hearing that she's been making threats and trying to sabotage us and this, that, and all the other things. But y'all, here's the real tea. I'm not afraid of Becky. I feel like there are so many people in the world that give up on something before they even start because they're intimidated. They're afraid to fall, they're afraid of some kind of retaliation from their enemy, or they're afraid that they really aren't good enough to do all those things that they set out to do, just like all those bullies told them. But I am not afraid. Slay or be slayed. This is a lesson for anyone that has ever been told that they can't or they shouldn't or bad things will happen to you if you ... My old boss is big and powerful and scary to a lot of people. That's how she's gotten away with her blatant racist commentary, discriminatory procedures, and abusive behavior toward her staff. Everyone is afraid of Becky and what she'll do to them if they don't stay in line. But I don't work for this, and even if I still did, if homegirl wants to come at me, she can come at me. Why so brazen, you ask? I've already been to hell and back in this life. I'm not about to run and hide with my tail between my legs because Becky's in her feelings. And if she wants to throw a tantrum and say that I stabbed her in the back and I betrayed her and blah, 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 I really don't know how I could have possibly stabbed her in the back. I mean, I said I didn't like her to her face. Every venture that I'm doing right now, it's not even about her. Everything that I'm working on, from my music to my teaching, is because I love all of those things and I want to do them in spite of everything that she's trying to do to stop it. I am so passionate about exposing the abusers and bullies for who they really are, and it is my lifelong mission to be able to empower others, to be able to be strong in the face of all of those monsters in your closet. I'm mad at myself more than anything for knowing what I knew for as long as I did and still staying in that situation. It's like the wife that keeps going back to her abusive husband because he's changed. No, hunty, you're just in the sunken place. No. In PettyLaBelle, I will mostly be presenting a lot of issues from a satirical point of view. You'll see skits, remixes, reenactments, and everything in between. This channel, again, is meant to be more of a catharsis than a smackdown. I'm not even spilling every ounce of tea in this particular situation. But if Becky insists on getting froggy, trust and believe I am fully prepared to jump right into that kettle. Becky, you got some splaining to do! I truly wish Becky the best. Maybe in all that rage and plotting and bashing, she'll actually stumble upon the tools needed to really build something truly amazing that people don't want to flee from in hordes. In any case, the real purpose of this particular video is more of a PSA. If someone is trying to threaten you or convince you to be less than what you know you're capable of, pettywap! If someone is trying to stop you from doing something that you love because it's threatening to them, I owe a huge thank you to Becky for inspiring half of the topics on this channel so far, and for teaching me exactly what kind of person I don't ever want to become. Thanks, Beck! I hope this episode inspires you to go for that thing that you've been afraid to go for, and to not let anybody stand in your way. And never forget that you are worth the fight. Light up that comment section, let me know what you think. Have you ever not done something because someone threatened you or you were afraid of retaliation? Do you think it really is true that the people that see wrong happening and don't say anything are just as bad, if not worse, than the people that are actually doing the bad thing? Do you think I should be afraid of what Becky's gonna do? Hit me up, I love hearing from you. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and if you really want to keep seeing this content every week, please visit my Patreon page. Your support is what makes PettyLaBelle possible. Pettywap that subscribe button. See you guys next Wednesday at 10 p.m. where we are back on schedule to talk it out or to wop it out. See you then. Love you guys.
Yeah, you know I'm petty. I like to start some mess. Yeah, heard you don't like me. Yeah, but you don't wanna get down.